Hey guys, what's up? Nick here. Had a couple people mention that they would love to see a throttle calibration video for use with the V control and the Hobbywing ESC, so I figured we'd go ahead and bang that out while I'm in here spending the day in the trailer getting all of my stuff dialed in and last little chores done. So what I've got here, I have my 700 number 2, same one we were talking about earlier. I have the Hobbywing 160 amp ESC in there. My trusty V control. This is a newly set up Neo, so this is something that I need to do anyway. Alright, we have our motor off switch and our security switch on. Blades are off. I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in and let you guys listen to the normal arming tone. Okay, so that's what we're shooting for in the end. That means everything is ready to go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go down into the model setup menu. Now, depending on what firmware you have, if you're on Express or if you're on Pro, you can do it a couple different ways. For the Pro guys, we can go into Governor and then go to the ESC endpoint menu. And then we can specifically set our high and low. That's where you do like the castle setup. But for the Hobbywing, we're just teaching the Hobbywing what our existing endpoints are. So that's really not the easiest way to do it. The easiest way is to go into Setup Tools and then ESC Setup Wizard. Scroll towards the end and you're going to see Other ESC Setup. We'll go ahead and hit Enter on that. Okay, now, so here's the deal. Here's how this is going to work. When I hit load values and start a new setup, what I'm basically doing is, right now the throttle is controlled through the V control via the governor. But once I turn that on, that means my throttle is going to be directly tied to the collective stick. So it doesn't matter if we're over here in motor off or if we have our safety switch on, the throttle will be controlled with the collective stick. That's the programming menu. Then what we need to do is we're going to disconnect and power down the V-bar. Normally, that would reset everything when we turn it back on, but when we go into that in this menu, the V-bar knows that that's what we're trying to do. So I'm going to unplug it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to high stick, which is 100% throttle because we're tied to the collective channel now. So 100% throttle, plug it back in. That's going to put the Hobbywing into the throttle calibration mode. We're going to listen for 2 beeps, deet deet. I'm going to lower the stick, and then it will give me my confirmation beeps. So it actually stores high stick first, then we go down program and it'll store low stick and we're done. It goes really fast, super easy to do. Okay, so we're here, we have the heli plugged in. We're gonna go to load values, start a new setup. Give it a second. Okay, so here we go. Now we are tied to this. We're ready to go. It says CSC manual how to set up. Turn the model off. This screen disappears. Turn the model on. The next screen comes up. So we're going to go ahead and turn this off. Now what I need to do here is go high stick right there. Plug this back in. Listen. 2 beeps. Down. There we go. That's it. Done. It really is that simple. Exit back out of that. We're good to go. Now we just programmed our high and low throttle on the Hobbywing. From here, you can go into the governor. Depending on, go into model setup. I've got another cool little trick for this. If you go into the App Store, you can download, down here into the extensions, you can download something called RPM Display Setup. What that is, even though I'm actually using the internal Hobbywing governor, but the downfall with that is that you don't know what your head speed is unless you have a tach. Well, what we can do right here with this app is you can set up your sensor configuration, which is 1/2 of your motor pole count. So this is a 10 pole motor, so I have 5 in here. And then I set my gear ratio, which is 10.19. Program that in there. Now, even though I'm not using the V-bar governor, we'll let this go out of here. Right back here on the home screen, right there is my head speed. So since we've taught the V control all of our gearing information and sensor configuration, now what I can do is I will see my head speed right there. So on my very first flight, I program my hobby wings in Gov Store mode. So I go into Gov Store mode. I get that all set. My first flight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here to my governor menu on my ESC output. And I'm going to program my bank 1 to 50% output. And then I'll just do, say, 75 and 85 for the next ones. So I go out, I plug in my heli, I let it boot up, I set it down, I go back, I go to mid stick, I release my motor off and go into motor run. It spools up and let the governor settle and engage. We're at 50% throttle at that point. I'll let it run for, say, 5-10 seconds like that, hit motor off, let it spool all the way back down. Now I'm done. I've calibrated Gov Store mode and we're good to go. From there, I'll immediately spool right back up and just flip it straight up into bank 1 and look on our main screen there what head speed that is. If it's not enough, I'll try bank 2. And then you can even, while spooled up, again, be careful, we're not flying, we're just at mid-stick on the ground, but you can go into your menu and live turn it up and just sit there and listen to the heli spool up, bump back off of it, and go back and see what your RPM is. So really easy setup, no tack needed. Cool. All right, guys, thanks for watching, appreciate it, and we'll catch you out at the field.